Hola guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Roxanne. If it's your first time here, then welcome. Latinx Heritage Month is fast approaching, and so like always I wanted to make a video talking about some recommendations that you guys can pick up so that you can read, learn, celebrate different varied stories that all speak in some way or another to the Latinx experience. And so yeah, I typically, what I love to do during this time is to focus a lot on obviously Latinx written own voices books and in the beginning of the year, so that I always have a good sort of array of books to recommend to you guys when this time comes around. And so that's what I am going to do now. First is Fruit of the Drunken Tree by Ingrid Rojas Contreras. This is a multiple POV story about two young girls. It's a coming of age story set in the background of the very violent socio-political turmoil that plagued Colombia back in the 90s. And so it's about a young girl who is protected from all of that, and then the young maid that is hired to work in her house, and sort of their varying stories and how different their realities are. They become friends, and it's just sort of coming of age story set in this background. It is haunting at times, and it's eye-opening, and it has a lot of commentary about what was going on at the time, and it really intersects different things like race and socioeconomic status and gender, and yeah, I recommend it. I actually met the author I think maybe 2 years ago, and I have a signed ARC, which was really exciting, and I can't wait to see what else she's gonna come up with. You guys know that one of my favorite authors lately in the past couple years has become Carolina de Robertis. Last year she came out with Cantoras, which is it is a queer historical fiction set in 1977 Uruguay, and it is about this group of women who become friends and find this little sort of paradise that they can escape to and be themselves. And Cantoras is what they refer to themselves as queer lesbian women, and it is a sort of a safe way to be together and to refer to each other, and like everything that I've ever read by her, it is written absolutely beautifully. She has this dreamlike quality to her words that just transports you. It is a beautiful story. It's also a very, very sad story, and it takes place through many years, and so you see the evolution of these characters and the history of the country in which it's based. And I absolutely loved it. It's one of my favorite books of last year. I recommend this and anything written by Carolina de Robertis. Then we have another also 2019 release. It was Dominicana by Angie Cruz, and this is an immigration story set in the NDR and in New York, and it is about this woman who marries this man as a way for her to sort of get out of the island and start a better future for herself and for her family, as many young women have had to do in the past as a means to sort of progress. And it is warning for domestic abuse in this one, and it's another sort of, it has its tragic elements, but it does have this powerful quality to it of a woman finding her way and finding her voice and overcoming everything that has plagued her life. And so even though you go through so many difficult moments with her in her life, in the end she does find that voice and sort of finds her own victory. And it's a beautiful story. It is my first Angie Cruz. Definitely won't be my last. I do want to pick up her backlist as well. So I can't remember if this is an essay collection or more of a memoir, but it is My Time Among the Whites by Janine Capocruzet, and this is it's a collection of essays. So it's a first generation American. Janine Capocruz says she grew up in Miami. Her parents are from Cuba. They're Cuban refugees, and it is about her life. It's about the sort of immigrant experience, that first generation pressures that come that so many kids of immigrants and of refugees feel, and sort of the way that she's able to navigate her life. And it talks a lot about her history, her life, but also very specifically what I really enjoyed about this one was the times in which she spoke about privilege. I think she did it in a nuanced way that I really appreciated. So give this one a go if you are more into the nonfiction than into fiction. I feel like the last couple of years I might have had an Elizabeth Acevedo in here, and this year is no different. This time is Clap When You Land. This I would say is probably my favorite Elizabeth Acevedo. I think her books have gotten better as she is publishing them. I've liked each one more than the last, and this one is no exception. This is about two sisters, one who lives in DR and one who lives in New York, and they both suffer the tragic loss of their father, and in grappling with that they find out about each other, and it's about how different each of their experiences are, how differently they view this man, how they come together, how they view their life, how they progress past his death. And I found it to be beautiful. The relationship that she was able to create between these two characters is absolutely beautiful, and there's so much social commentary interwoven into the story in a way that just flows very seamlessly. And yeah, again, this is another one where I just cannot wait to see what else she comes up with, because like I said, everything that she has written for me has surpassed the previous release. So I loved this one. You guys know that one of my favorite books of all time is When I Was Puerto Rican by Esmeralda Santiago. I recently read the second book in that sort of memoir trilogy, which is called Almost a Woman, and this one talks about when she is in she gets accepted into this art school, and it's about her starting to become a woman. It's her teenage years, she discovers her body, she discovers boys, she becomes a woman, she graduates, she gets her first job, and it's about how she handles all of that with the relationship that she has with her mother, and how traditionally her mother views sort of female roles, and it's how she kind of undercuts that and tries to live her own life while still maintaining this relationship with her mom. And so this sort of at times not necessarily double life, but kind of that she lives in which she tries to do right by her mom and the sort of expectations that she has there, but also living in a completely different place than what her mom grew up in. They're now in New York, so, and time has passed, you know, since her mom was her age, so there's like different expectations that she has to deal with, and a certain type of life that she wants for herself. And it's about, you know, first loves and first heartaches, and family expectations and personal expectations, and how you grapple with what you want versus what your family wants, and feeling indebted to them for everything that they've provided for you. And I enjoyed it. When I Was Puerto Rican is still gonna be my favorite, I think, just because of the nostalgic feeling of it and how closely it allowed me to feel to my own mom and her growing up in Puerto Rico. But this one I thoroughly enjoyed and recommend just as much. Likewise, I think the last couple of years I have recommended a Chanel Cleaton book, and again, this year is no different. I think I'm just gonna say books by these authors. Read these. And this one is The Last Train to Key West, and this is the third in her sort of companion historical fiction Cuba, Florida series. I'm not really sure what it's called, like if it has a particular name, but this one is a multiple POV story, which I think it was just different than the other two, in which we have three different women, and how their lives all sort of converge in the Key West during this really bad hurricane. And for this, trigger warning also for domestic abuse And yeah, and it's just about how their lives are all changed when this giant storm comes. My only issue with this one is that I felt the ending was maybe slightly abrupt, or I kind of wish it would have expanded a little bit more, and then the love stories would have got a little bit more time. But it's hard to do when you have 3 POVs. But I mean, I always fall in love with the women that Chanel Clayton writes about, and this time was no different. I care about these 3 women. I wouldn't say necessarily equally, but close enough. I enjoyed reading their stories and seeing how they developed and how they found their voices and sort of found agency, one in particular. And yeah, I enjoyed this thoroughly. I have enjoyed every single one in this sort of companion series that she started writing. I believe the next one has already been announced, and so I likewise cannot wait. Then we have Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I actually have 2 by Silvia Moreno Garcia: Mexican Gothic and Gods of Jade and Shadow. Both of these have sort of their fantastical elements, but they are completely different stories. One thing that I love about Silvia Moreno Garcia is how every book feels 100% different than the last. This is a woman who has almost endless imagination, I think, and just a great storytelling ability. So far, Signal to Noise is still my favorite of hers, and I will always recommend it. But Gods of Jade and Shadow, it pulls from the Jazz Age and sort of Mayan inspirations, and then clashes the two when this woman sort of brings this god of death back to life and then has to deal with the repercussions of it. And it's a sort of coming of age story set in a very particular, very specific, weird, fantastical, Mayan inspired background that I thoroughly enjoy. Cassiopeia is a great character in the way that most of her female characters tend to be really enjoyable to read about. This one is no less that. And I love the relationship that she created between the Mayan god of death and Cassiopeia. I think it allows for both of their individual growths as characters, and for you to sort of for you to sort of attach yourself to different elements of each of their personalities. But I think the way that their story develops is done perfectly. I think that you seldom have such satisfaction with the way that a relationship between 2 characters goes, and I think that in this one I really felt that. I felt that she stayed really true to the characters and she didn't force anything, whereas with Mexican Gothic, which is the story of this sort of 16-year-old socialite who gets this very strange letter from her cousin who is requesting her help. She's living in this sort of remote town and she does not seem well. She seems to be having some health issues, maybe some mental health issues, and so she goes to see what's going on and see in what ways she can help. And there's this whole mystery surrounding this home and the family that her cousin has married into, and it is very eerie in its rating, which if you like that, then I recommend this. But unlike Gods of Jade and Shadow, I do feel like some of the relationships here felt a bit forced, which is sort of I think my main issue with it. But if you like creepy things, if you like gothic things, if you like eerie feeling stories, and you're sort of spunky main character, then Mexican Gothic might be one that you want to try out. Last but not least is a romance. It is You Had Me at Hola by Alexis Daria. This is about 2 telenovela stars who are brought together to do a show in what is kind of the equivalent of a Netflix. And they, shenanigans ensue which result in love, and I really appreciated this one and I enjoyed it. I thought it was a really great fun read. There's discussion which I really liked about our male character is Puerto Rican and has family living in Puerto Rico, and you sort of tangentially are told slightly about the sort of about the way that Hurricane Maria affected the island, and how there's some commentary on that, which was great to read about. And you have a woman who finds her self-worth. She's the type of woman who seems to figure out or measure her value based on the attention that she receives, and specifically the attention of men. And she's just really wanting to be liked, and at times confuses that for real emotion and or love. And so it's about her finding her own self-worth apart from a man, and finding her own worth and her own values and her own hard work and everything that she's able to provide just in her own, as her own person, apart from any relationship. And so I really appreciated that aspect of her character. This one was just a fun read. If you like romance, I would give it a try. It isn't anything like spectacularly compelling or anything like that. It's just a fun romance read. So if you like that, I would give it a try. These are some suggestions for Latinx Heritage Month. I hope that you'll participate. I hope that you will enjoy some of these. Let me know if you've read any of them and what you thought. Let me know what you plan to read during this month. As always, thank you for watching and for listening. I love you guys very much.